Hi Sudhakar, hope audio will be fine now.
So in forest we find, it's not just for snakes because it includes all beings of the cave, two-footed ones, four-footed ones, and so on. So it becomes general for animals also. It is used in that sense. Just trying to point out that the Buddha's strengths and powers are limitless, and these creatures are limited. So the focus is that because of the power of the Buddha, may the beings depart. Basically that. decide the method. My goodwill is with the Virupakas, my goodwill is with the Herapakas, my goodwill is with the Pratyapakas, my goodwill is with the Kanahapakakas. These are the four domains of the serpents. Virupaka is the king of Nagas, and there are other categories of serpents. Apad ke hi mekhan Santupade hi mekhan bahupade. My goodwill is with them who have no feet. My goodwill is with them who have 2 feet. My goodwill is with them who have 4 feet. Is with them who have many feet. Mamanga padako hinsi, mamang hinsi dipadako, mamang katupado hinsi, mamang hinsi lopado. May not one with no feet hurt me, may not one with 2 feet hurt me, may not one with 4 feet hurt me, may not one with many feet hurt me. Sabbe satta, sabbe pana, sabbe bhuta cha kevala, sabbe bhadrani passantu, ma kanchi papamaya. May all beings, all those who are feeling, may all those who have become in their entirety, may all see what is good, may suffering not come to anyone. Appamadam buddho, appamano dhammo, appamano sangho, appamanantani, sisapani, ahi vichita, satapadi, unnabhi sarabhu musika, kata me rakha, kata me paritta, katikamantu bhutani, soham namo bhagavate, namo sattanam samma sambuddham. Limitless is the Buddha, limitless is the Dhamma, limitless is the Sangha. There is a limit to the creeping things, the snakes, scorpions, centipedes, spiders, lizards, and rats. I have made this safeguard, I have made this protection, may the beings depart. I pay homage to the Blessed One, homage to the 7 bright days, self-awakened one. These are the names of his son.
Limitless का मतलब क्या हुआ?
It is an indication that the power of Buddha is infinite. So these things are finite, so they can't be more than the powerful. इससे पहले वो शुद्ध है, once the monks had gone to forest near Savatthi, and then one of them was bitten by a snake and he died, and the monks come to Buddha and tell him this is what happened. And he tells him that you must have not have practiced metta there, so you should practice metta in this time. So since then it has become a kind of a procedure that whenever they go to places, they practice this metta also. Especially those who are forest dwelling.
Seven rightly said.
Yeah, they are the ones which are supposed to be immediate past 7 days. They are the much earlier.
Much earlier.
So you can imagine the time which the Gautama Buddha spent in perfecting his.
current disciple.
No, Mahakassapa, disciple. But he is also, this is the name of Arjuna. So today our Sutta is 4.12, Shula Vyuham Sutta, minor causes of contention. Primarily deals with the Ditti as a cause of contention. Same story, same fantastic story of Buddha creating a situation so that people ask him certain questions which respond to the doubts in the minds of the Devas. And about what is wrong view and how do we know what is the right view. So I have written in red those are which are the questions, and then in black are the answers of those, because there are questions in between also.
So questioner कौन है इसमें?
Questioner are the people who Buddha taken by Deva. Must be monks who are asking the question on behalf of the Devas, because they are getting in confusion with these questions. The earlier one also, you remember, the same thing. They had other questions and they got Kalaha Vivada Sutta was there. Same thing. The doubts of the Devas were being cleared by Buddha.
So basically through psychic powers he got to know that he can
That is what he used to do, that early morning metta. He would engulf the whole world with his metta, and then whosoever came to his attention that they are presently ripe for giving the Dhamma, he will go there and do accordingly whatever has to be done. So there are so many other suttas also where you hear such things. Go to Brahma, then going to some poor man's cottage, this also is there. Going to this arms round going. We have read that Nakul Pita Sutta. Going to that Nakul Mata and Nakul Pita, his parents for 500 generations, and then giving them Dhamma. And there those old women and men recognize him that he is our son. They ask him to stay with him. So he says, no, I can't stay. I'll come for lunch one day. So for days and days he goes for food till they get enlightened. So this is a compassion, amazing compassion. So this sutta, the question is almost the same being asked again and again. So if you get fed up, tell me. So I'll read out first. Satkam ditti paribhasana Buddhaya nana kusala vadanti Yo evam janati savedi dhammam Idam patikosama kevaliso Evam viviggaya vivadayanti Balo paro akusalo pichahu Satchonuvado katamo imesam Saddeva hime kusalavana. Some people abide, confined strictly to their own views, and then come in dispute with others who are other worlds. And each of them claims that he is the only expert, who is telling the truth. And he says, who knows this point of view, knows the Dhamma, who doesn't know it, he is imperfect. So having got into this kind of a dispute, they contest. And the opponent is a fool, I am an expert, and this kind of thing keeps on going. This kind of contention keeps on going. And so, yeah, he's asking them, which one of these is the true doctrine? When people come with so many doctrines, so that we can know this person is the Kushala Vadana, he's speaking the right thing. So translations they have done is themselves to be the expert. Kushala, we know Kushala Vadana speaks, he speaks the right thing. Then there are the answers. Buddha gives the answers.
Prasassa ched dhammam anasu janam balu mako hoti mihina panyam sabbe vesa bala sunihina panya sabbe vime dithi paribhasana.
There are verses, you can recite them in that. Parasya cha dhammam ananyajanam balo mako hoti mihina panyo sabeva bala sunihina panya sabeva inme dithi paribhasana. Sab means all. So परस से दूसरे को धम्मम अनानुजन्यम, दूसरे को धर्म को कहता है तो हीन है. बालो मको होती निहीन न पंजो. So he doesn't say that they are balo means stupid, they are very little knowledge. He nahin panyo, they are stupid, wisdom is destroyed. Sabeva bala sunihin panya. All of them are actually fools, very poor understanding, because they are confined to their own wrong views.
Sanditya Jivana Vivadata Susandapanya Salamatima Natesam Kochi Parihini Panyo Vitti Tesamapi Tathasamanta.
So Sanditya Chevaya Navivadata. So if by one's own views one becomes pure, samshuddha panya, kusalamatima, and pure and expert and intelligent, nakresam kochi parihina pano, then according to that type of view, there is no one who is of pure understanding. Everybody says he is of pure understanding. Ditti hi tesam tatha samattam. सबकी बराबर दिट्ठी जो है बराबर ही है. All are equally wrong views, but they think that they are all pure.
न वहमेकं तथयन्ति द्रोणी यमाहु बाला मिथुन अन्नुमन्न संकं दिव्यं कंसुं सच्चं तस्मा हि बालोति परम दहन्ति.
Navaham ekam, I don't say this, tathiyanti bruni. So I don't say that whatever fool says mutually to each other, they make their own views. Therefore they hold each other to be fools. Because their views are, their own views they consider truth. So they consider everybody to be fools. So I don't say that what they are saying is true. None of them is true. The implication is that none of them what is saying is real. We have further questions.
Dhammahu
Sancham.
Tatyanti ke Dhammahu Sancham Yasati Ivami Vikarmya Ivadayanti Tasmana Ekam Samanna
Vadanti. Tasmana ekam samana vadanti. जो समन भी है वो सब एक ही बात क्यों नहीं कहते हैं? This is what he is saying. Why do they keep on saying different things? What some say is truth, the reality others say is false. So having disagreed, they keep on disputing. So the questioner is saying, why don't all these samanas speak the same thing? Why do they say so many things?
Ekani Sacham Na Viyamati Yasmin Vaja Na No Vivade Vajanam Nana Te Sachani Sayam Nati Tasma Na samana vadanti.
So why they don't speak same? एकन ही सत्यम न द्वितीय मात्रि, एक ही सत्य है, वो दो तरह के नहीं है. There is no second one. यस्मिन् पजानो विवादे पद्यम, पजान विवादे पजाना. So about which the intelligent mind may dispute, it is just one truth. So there is no reason really for intelligent people to dispute. But what happens? Nana te satyani sayam tunanti. But they themselves praise different truths and therefore they can't say the same thing. They get into trouble because of this reason.
Na deva sati. Tasmanu satyani vadanti nana. Pavadiyese kusala vadana. Satyani suttani bahuni nana. Udahu te tattvamanussaranti.
He's again asking the same thing. So I think Buddha must have seen people samajh nahi aaya. So the same question is being asked again. Kasman satyani vadanti nana. Nana prakar ke satya देखो आप सोच पवादिये से कुशला वदाना and then call themselves to be the right speak. So why do people assert themselves to be the only truth speaking and do proclaim different things? Satyani sutani bahuni nana. Because are there in reality many truths? Or do they just follow their own reasoning? Just repeating the same question. Probably Buddha must have discerned कि समझ नहीं आएंगे मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ. So then he answers, Nahev satyani bahuni nana अन्यत्रा संन्याय नित्यानि लोके तक्कंच दिक्षुप्सि पक्कप्रियत्वा सत्यम नुसति द्वाय धम्ममा. So there are not many truths in this world except those who are considered with perception. According to perception, you can develop so many things. But having based their views on mere reasoning, they proclaim a duality and truth and falsehood. Because it's entirely based only on reasoning. So reasoning has its limits. So on reasoning you can come to this conclusion, another conclusion, then you can dispute. My conclusion. So if you are sharper in reasoning, then you can disprove the other. So this can keep on going eternally. And this is what has been happening in our country right till 6th, 7th century. From that time for almost 1500 years, this disputing and putting down the other. My view is right, that view is right. All those various branches of Upanishadic thought, they used to do that. And some strong reasoning person will come and say, God is there and soul, God and soul are they are different. And somebody will say, no, they are same. No, they are different. So when Adi Shankaracharya came, he was the sharpest intellect. So he put down everybody. And so then you are all wrong. That's what is being hinted in a way, that merely based on intellect, if you say takkancha tark, takkancha ditthisu pakapita, if you base entirely on the tark, on reasoning, then there are so many possibilities of perception are there.
But sir, in normal day-to-day living also, there is always this conflict of, like, when you see on Facebook, people are arguing for normal things. What is wrong, what is right.
We are all bound by our perceptions. That's what the point is being made. We are all bound by our perceptions. And that perception is governed by our conditioning. I have been conditioned by what happened in Kashmir strongly, for example. So my conditioning is that, and I always, if somebody talks of that area, something, I'll say in that particular perspective. And others have different perspective, they will say something else. So if a person is intelligent, he will listen to both the perspectives and see that both of them, and they are not telling lies. Then one can be blatantly telling lies. That is the totally nothing can be done about it. But if you have a genuinely different perception, I have a genuinely different perception, then we can sit together if we are reasonable people and find out what is the truth. Probably the truth will be somewhere in between. Or both of them may be true. Different perspectives may be true.
Actually, this part of the thing is happening less and less probably. The
Disputants is only going. People are not trying to understand each other's point.
सर जैसे मैंने सुना है सर कि नालंदा यूनिवर्सिटी थी, तो वहाँ पर ऐसा था कि उसका जो मेन गेट कीपर थे, anybody who wants to enter that university first he had to had a तर्क होता था उनके साथ, और अगर वो विन करता था तभी वो अंदर जा सकता था. He would have not enter into it. तो मतलब वो फिर क्या तर्क
सर वो वहाँ गाइड ऐसा ही बताते हैं
हाँ.
कि जिसको अगर एडमिशन लेना है यूनिवर्सिटी में तो पहले जो गेट कीपर होता था वही पहले उसका फर्स्ट जो इंटरव्यू जो फर्स्ट राउंड जो है ना वो एक तरीके से वो गेट कीपर है.
और अभी भी जैसे बुद्धिज्म में भी ऐसा होता है कि people are sitting across and then they're reading with the scriptures, but they are doing
that is not really argumentation. That is basically to check whether the person has understood his teachings properly. So the scholars and the Theras, who was very senior monks who have studied and done all the comprehensive studies, they sit, and then the novice or the new entrant into the monastery, he would study and then he would say, okay, I am ready to present this book. So then it's like a viva which we have in our colleges. So that is like, but they have a formal ceremony. Some teachers will be sitting. You should see that Dalai Lama's life. Dalai Lama's pictures are also there. Young Dalai Lama getting into questioning by the Thera and answering this. So that is their traditional way of what could be called as a viva voce examination. There is no dispute. They are actually checking whether the boy young man has understood the piece. Because he is going to become a monk and Lama, then he has to have that knowledge. He should not present it wrongly. That is actually pariyapti.
Dithehi sutte silvante mute va ete cha nisya vimantassi vinichaye tatva asmano balo paro akulosoti cha.
दिखे देखना जो देखा गया है, सुते whatever has been heard, शीलवते is not see, including शीलवते also, whatever is based on rules and rituals, and muteva are looking upon others and hearing things. Etech and Nissai Vimanadasi, anybody who is dependent on these things, what he has seen or heard or on his rules and rituals, and then he looks at others with contempt because of his attachment to, basing his understanding on what he is seeing and thinking and what are their conventions. Then they say the other person is fool, and then they become happy. Nichai Thakve Bahassamana. Bahassamana is laughing around at their foolishness of the others. Bahas karna. Balo paro akusalati chaha. Then they say, oh, the other person is a fool, he doesn't know.
ये मेरी बालों की परम दहाती दीना तुमानम पुष्पो चाहो संयमत्तनासु सुखो बदानो संयम हिमानी अधिपार.
ये मेरे बालों की परम दहाती, दूसरे को मूर्ख बताता है, who holds other person to be fools, and on that basis tena anuttam kusalam choha, and calls himself an expert. Such a person who calls himself an expert actually insults not only the other person, he insults himself also.
अतिसार दिठिया सो समत्तो मानेन मत्तो परिपूर्ण मानी स्वयमेव सामं मन साभिसितो दिट्ठि ही सातस्य तथा समता.
Atisara Vidhyaya Susamatto, who is full of lot of philosophical views, and Manena Matto matlab mad, he has become mad because of his view, with a pride, Paripunna Manami, and thinking himself to be Paripurna, thinking himself to be perfect, Sayameva Samam Manasa Abhisatto. Abhisatto consecration करते हैं, जो baptism जैसे Christian में करते हैं, he is kind of consecrates himself to be a divine person. So he is person who is himself appointed himself as a divine person. He's kind of, in his own opinion, he is anointed with the spirit of genius. Ditti satasya tatha samartha. He holds on very strongly to his ditti, to his own view. परस्य च वचस्य निहिनो, जो दूसरे को नीचा दिखाता है, मनुष्य another person is low, तुमो साहा होती निहिन पन्ने. And he says that you are of a very low understanding. Then athacha sayam vedaguru hoti dhiro. But actually, if he is vedaguru, he is wise and accomplished one. Nokochi balo samaneswa. He does not fool among the samna. If he is really, if he himself is wise, then he thinks he knows that. Those who preach a doctrine different from this, aparadha suddhim avekadite, say they fall short of purity and imperfect. This is what evampi tithya. Tithya means different, those who are followers of different religion, another religion. So everybody used to call other religions as tithya. So the tithyas say repeatedly that those who follow another doctrine, they are low, they are. And in this way, sanditha ragena hi te viratta. Their raga, their passion is inflamed towards their own ditti or their own wrong views.
Idhev suddhi iti vadyanti jnanesu dhammesu suddhimaho evam tithya saso nivitha sakhayne tatra dalham vadana.
Idev Shuddhi, yahi Shuddhita. This is their purity. Iti Vadayanti, they keep on saying that. Jnanesu dhammesu visuddhamahu. And in other doctrines, they don't allow any possibility of purity. Evam pitithya putho so nivitha. So the tithyas, they enter extensively upon this. Sakkayane tatha dhanam vadana. And say that very strongly, very firmly they say all these things. Sakayane vapi dalham vadana. Kametha baloti param daheya. Sayame vaso medaga mava avaheya. Param vadam balam asud. And saying that there is something firm in my way and holding opponents to be fool. So what happens? Sayame him admedaga vayam vaheya. So he brings upon strife. That is the reason for strife, because of this calling others fool and thinking yourself to be right. So calling opponent to be fool and holding wrong doctrine and mine is right doctrine. So that is the cause of the contention and vyavahar. Vinichchet hatva sayam kamaya buddham salokasmin vivadameti vitvana sabbana vinichchayani namedagam kubbhoti jantu loke. Vitvana sabbana vinichchayani. This is giving up all theories. Namedagam kubbhati jantu lokati. So one who gives up all theories, therefore he does not enter into any dispute with anybody. He is very clear on his own judgment and measure of teachings, and one who is rigidly attached to that, he keeps on entering into disputes. But one who gives up all theories, no philosophical view, for him there is no dispute with anyone. So when teaching is don't have any theory about anything. Chula Review Sutta. So this is the Chula Review Sutta. Then there will be some Mahavibhiya Sutta also. So this is Sutta on Ditthi. Any comment? Anybody?
Sir, earlier Sudhakar had made one comment that he wants to introduce his friend to this group. His friend's name is Sandeep Bhatia, and he has worked in US for 15 years, and now he is back to India, and he lives in Panipat now.
He is also meditator.
So, Sandeep ji, you have meditated before? So, थोड़ा सा ध्यान दीजिए।
आवाज फैन की आवाज ज़्यादा जा रही है हमारे से.
So Sudhakar, I have reduced the speed of the fan. Hopefully the voice should be better now.
Where did we stop last time? We were discussing the Pratitya Samutpada, so we stopped. हाँ ये तो क्या है 17 से आगे कर सकते ज्ञान पच्चय नाम रूप नाम पच्चय समाहित.
I think 120 तक हुआ था.
So we've been discussing Pratitya Samutpada in the light of Abhinamma. So Upton says we did up to 120, so we can overlap with 120. So let us recite the whole thing first. We should recite some Pratitya Samutpada is worth reciting every day. Avidya Pacchaya Sankhara, Sankhara Pacchaya Vijnana, Vijnana Pacchaya Namarupa, Namarupa Pacchaya Salayatan, Salayatan Pacchaya Bhas, Bhasa Pacchaya Vedana, Vedana Pacchaya Tanha, Tanha Pacchaya Upadan, Upadan Pacchaya Bhava, Bhava Pacchaya Jati, Jati Pacchaya Jaya Mara Shok, Dev Dukha Domanas Upayasa Sambhavanti. This is how the Dukha Domanas Upayasa arises. So we discussed up to Namarupa. So then next we come to the link Namarupa Pacchaya Salayata. So Namarupa is conditions the six senses, which is quite obvious. Depending on consciousness arises the body-mind complex, and when that conditions the six senses. And the conditionality I have given in detail is cognizance, they arise simultaneously. As far as Rupa, the materiality is a condition in rebirth linking. It's a different situation in rebirth linking and different situation in day-to-day life. So at rebirth linking, it is cognizance because it has to arise simultaneously. And of course, other things are quite obvious, mutuality, support, and so on. But in case of the four primaries in general, conditioning four ways. So any of the five bases beginning with I, whatever they arise, these are the ways in which this conditions. I have just written it. Basically, the idea is that depending on the nature of consciousness, Vijnana Pacchaya Namarupa would be the body-mind complex, and depending on that would be the growth of the six senses. And as we had seen, depending on nature of consciousness, somebody may be having born in animal domain, some may be born in human domain, so there the Namarupa will be of different kind, senses will be of different kind, and even in human domain, depending on the intensity of the roots, you may have persons born with deficient sensory ability, six senses may not be there, some of them may be, so some people are born congenitally with deformities of various kinds, blind or deaf or dumb. So that is what is explained here, depending on the consciousness, which in turn depends on the Chuti Sarvinyana. At the time of death of the previous person in that karma stream, depending on the accumulated karma of that person, the next person of his karma stream is born. So the Salayatam also are conditioned by the Namarupa. Six senses are conditioned by that. And then the six senses, whichever of them are, whatever form they are, then Salayatan Pachya Pasana. This is what happens day to day every time. Through six senses we interact with the world. I am seeing you, you are hearing me, so there are interactions which are happening. And I think you would recall we already discussed how this contact happens, how the consciousness arises and the coming together of the three. Remember that beautiful sutta we had studied, Madhupindaka Sutta. Chakkhupati charupe cha upajjati chakkhu vinyanam tinnam sangati phasya. So that is the explanation. Depending on I and the object arises I consciousness. Coordination of all the three is called phasya. And that is what is called contact in the technical term. So the conditioning will be that the five sense bases are naturally a support and they have to be pre-nascence, purejata. They have to be present first, then only contact can happen. They cannot simultaneously arise. That is the difference. Then their faculties, they are strong, they are governing. The eyes, all the six senses are called indriyas also because they determine our whole life, they govern our whole life. So in this way it is being mentioned. The mind base which results as these conditions. We have already discussed all these conditions one by one, so I do not go into details. I have just mentioned them so we can refer to the previous conditions and figure out. Then we have Phassa Pachaya Vedana. This is that whenever there is any contact at the six sense doors, there will be a corresponding Vedana. And Vedanas are primarily of feelings, which are of three kinds. The Sukha Vedana, Dukha Vedana or Asukha Vedana. So these are three kinds of Vedanas. And the Vedana arises simultaneously with the other organs. So it is conescence, Sahajata Pachya. The mutuality, support, and they are all obvious that they have to be dependent on that. Key thing is that it is a Sahajata Pachya, it is conescence. So five door contact beginning with eye contact is a condition in 8 ways. So that's how all this happens. So each door, each sense door, this will be the set of conditions in which feelings arise. Now sometimes the feelings are also further subdivided based on feeling arising at the eye. Chakku sampassaja vedana, Dhana sampassaja vedana, Sota sampassaja vedana. So yes, the vedanas also are of 6 kinds. And the practice which we do in Vaishnava tradition is of Sota sampassaja vedana. We follow the vedana which is arising due to contact at the body. Kaya sampassaja vedana. That is what we do. But we can practice at other sense doors also when you want to practice Vaishnava. So Sahaj is also mentioned if you read his journal that one can practice at all sense doors, but it's more difficult. So it is easier to practice at the body sense door. So we train our mind in Vedananupasana, keeping body sense door. But when we are in day-to-day life, Vedana is coming from all over, and we need to be mindful of that. I see something, I like it, dislike it. If I am not mindful, I will react. I hear something, I like, dislike it. Not mindful, I react. So we should be slowly. Once we become, all of us are very senior meditators, meditate for so long. So we should be mindful of other sense doors also.
But sense doors के हिसाब से कैसे
जैसे आप मेरी बात सुन रहे हैं, अगर प्रिय लग रही है कि अप्रिय लग रही है और उसके ऊपर बस इतना ही जानना है प्रिय है कि अप्रिय या न्यूट्रल है, ना प्रिय लग रही है ना अप्रिय, उसको अगर हम जान लेंगे तो कोई प्रतिक्रिया नहीं होगा, नहीं जानेंगे तो चांस है कि प्रतिक्रिया हो जाए। तो जो सामान्य इनपुट्स हैं उस पर नहीं होता, लेकिन जब हम say we go to, say for example when we go for a walk, you see so many people in different dresses, different costumes, and you look at it and immediately some things look good, some things look bad. If you are not mindful, the chain of thoughts will start. If you are mindful, they stop. And the chain of thoughts will not stop.
Some good, some bad. You will see
they are not good, bad. I should say pleasant, unpleasant.
Pleasant and pleasant, but you see whether either it will be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral.
Yeah.
But
if you are aware, if you become aware, pleasant feeling, the whole story will stop there. If you are not aware, then the possibility is one reacts, then
the reacts in the sense
अच्छा है, देखो इसकी बड़ी ड्रेस बहुत अच्छी है, आई थिंक मुझे भी ये खरीदनी चाहिए, कि देखो कैसे लड़कियां कपड़े पहनने लगी, क्या हो गया, the chain of thoughts will start. You will keep on walking with all those thoughts. प्रपंच शुरू हो जाएगा.
Suppose you also need that kind of dress.
That's a different thing altogether. We are talking about prapanch starting. We are starting about prapanch starting. You need it or not is a different issue. That's how to get it.
प्रपंच उससे कैसे डिफरेंट है कि अगर मैंने किसी को देखा जिसको कि मेरी सहायता की ज़रूरत है, कोई ऐसी कंडीशन में पड़ा हुआ है, तो अगर मैंने उसको देखा और मुझे लगा कि हाँ मैं अगर उस समय अपनी थॉट को स्टॉप कर दूँगी, then I will not be able to go to the action.
It's not stopping the thought. We don't do anything actually. We just observe. Just observing feeling as a result. It's a pleasant feeling or it's an unpleasant feeling. So the reaction will not take place. Then if some action has to be done, you find somebody is, then you do it without reaction. You do it out of compassion, or you do it out of kindness, or you do it out of metta. If you see somebody and you see your old friend, then you feel happy, okay. Feeling as a result, pleasant. And then you respond. Hello, how are you? There's no issue. Otherwise, what happens? The prapanch starts, and then the mind goes into a spin, and then your automatic thinking process. And during that prapancha, all kinds of sankharas will keep on arising because we're lost in them.
But when you go to market and see many,
same thing happens. When you go to mall, I get really worked up. Sometimes so many things you see, the mind gets into a spin.
But you choose this you may like or you may not like. Then prapancha starts.
You have to be careful.
But you need that.
So you need to be careful. Firstly, the need has to be distinguished from the prapanch. We see something, we become aware. Oh, this is looking pleasant. This is looking unpleasant. The moment we observe it in that manner, the prapanch will not start. Then you can decide, oh, do I need it or not need it? Then you go and buy it, because when you go to a mall, it's a big challenge, to go equanimously in the mall. There's so many things going on here, some things liking, some you things like, some you dislike, and then you get it. Mind gets into a real spin. So the whole idea here is being aware. Vedana is arisen, being aware. So the Vedana is arising at various sense doors, and if you are not mindful, then including the mind. Then there is Vedana Pachya Tanha, which I think we are all familiar. At each of the sense bases, Tanha can arise. So 6 kinds of Tanha at each sense base. And they are all very strong, decisive support. The Upanishaya Pachya, which you remember, so that is a condition we have special Arambana Upanishaya, that is the object. And on that basis, Vedana is the object, on the basis of which the Tanha keeps on arising. And depending on whether the feeling is pleasant or unpleasant doesn't matter, Tanha will be there. In one case it will be craving, in another case it will be aversion, but Tanha will arise if we are not mindful of that. Then Tanha Pachya Upadan. Upadan meaning grasping. So we hold or cling on to that. And when we cling on to that, then it becomes, you can say, intensified Tanha in a way. So the Venerable Buddha Gosha in Vishuddhimagga gives a good analogy. It says, Tanha is the aspiring of an object that one has not yet reached. Like a thief stretching out of the hand in dark. Clinging is grasping of an object that one has reached. Like thieves grasping the object which he has got and then holding on to it and running away. Somebody should not take it away. So that's the way Tanha and Upadan can be distinguished. And then further, subdivisions are done. Upadan can be of sensuality, of erroneous views, Rules and rituals, personality beliefs. So 4 kinds of upadana are identified. Kama upadana, Ditthi upadana, Silvat upadana, and the Sakkaya Ditthi upadana, personality beliefs. So these are the 4. Kama tanha is the condition for sensuality, is a decisive support. They are all decisive support pachaya. Then upadana pachayo bhava. So depending on these grasping, when we grasp, we eventually become that. So there is the active process of becoming and the kamma resultant process. Both of them are there. 2 kinds of bhava. One is active, which is happening. Other is which happens from the kamma vipaka also, which is arising. This kamma vipaka will happen at the rebirth linking. In our day-to-day life, it is active kamma which we are generating, and they are arising again and again. And the condition again is decisive support. This Upanishad Pachu, as we had seen, is one of the prominent ways in which kamma manifests over time periods. And these are the other conditions which I mentioned: connaissance, sajata, anyamanya, nisaya, and association, presence, athi, and so on. So the upadana gives rise to the bhava, becoming, the tendency. So it becomes becoming at the rebirth linking is proper becoming of a new body, but in our day-to-day life also we become whatever we grasp. A thief grasps something, he becomes a thief. He is not always a thief. At that moment he has become a thief. We grasp anger, so at that moment we become anger. We become anger for a few moments, still we retain that mindset. We grasp greed, we become that. So in that sense we become. And then we are born. So next will be bhava pachya jati.
लेकिन नेक्स्ट जब जन्म होगा तो वो सारे असेंबल होती हैं जो
These
हमारा
sankharas are-
एवरी मोमेंट जो है हम चेंजेस संस्कार बनाते हैं वो सारे इकट्ठे जुड़ते होंगे फिर नया शरीर जुड़ता होगा
जो जुड़ते उस सेंस में नहीं.
हाँ
These are like mental impressions which get stored in the stream. स्ट्रीम में कर्मा की स्ट्रीम जो चलती है उसमें कर्म शुरू में था ना जो अविद्या पच्चया संखारा. Sankhara is the kamma actually. Because of ignorance, we keep on forming kamma, and they get imprinted in the stream of karma. So they keep on, and by the process of one mind stream creating another, anyamanya pachya we had said, some anantara pachya, which means one mind moment dies, another is born. One dies, another is born. Mother dies, child is born. So when mother cell dies and child is born, the child has all the characteristics of mother. So all the prominent sankharas will be carried forward like that. Some are carried forward by Upanishad Pachu over lifetimes. Sankhara was committed in past life, it is producing effect today. That also happens because of that decisive support, which is example you remember we had given. A seed is sown, but the fruit comes after 10 years. In the same way, a seed of kamma, very strong seed has been sown today, it may produce its effect in next life. This way the effect keeps on getting transmitted. From one, the kammas the prominent sankharas keep on getting transmitted from one mind movement to another mind movement and so on. It happens at that rapidity. That's the Abhidhammic description.
So this is a question from Sudhakar. He's saying that so is earning money is tanha and holding on to it from spending is upadana.
Earning money may or may not be tanha. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. It will be done out of volition. It depends on what volition you are doing. You're doing it out of necessity because you have a family to support. So it has teaching is there. You should support your family, not just family. He says mata pita, family, your wife, and nyati, all relatives. You're supposed to. That's your bounden duty if one is a follower of the Buddha. So for that purpose, you need to have money. That's fine. No problem. Tanha, it will be when we are really constantly in the grip of how my money will increase, how my savings will increase, how my next promotion, why I am not getting promotion every time, why is my salary rise only 2%, not 10%. That is Tanha.
That will be tanha. And holding on to it.
Yeah, that you don't want to spend, It's typical miserliness.
That will be upadana.
Yeah, grasping it. You don't want to share it with others. You don't want to give donation. You don't want to spend it even for your family or relatives who are in distress. You don't want to give them. So grasping, holding on. You want to be, as Steve Jobs had said, na, rich man in the grave.
तो डिमोनेटाइजेशन की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती
ये
डिमोनेटाइजेशन की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती
वो बिल्कुल सच कहा आपने. So then we have Upadana Pachya Bhava and Bhava Pachya Jati. So in rebirth thinking, it is actual Jati. In day-to-day life, it is we are born as a thief, I am born as a lustful person, I am born as a greedy person. Every moment that whichever sankhara I hold on to, I become that. I become that. For that moment, I become that. And as long as I hold on to it, I am that. When I give it up, that ends. So nobody is a thief permanently. Nobody is a meditation teacher permanently. Nobody is a meditator permanently. When we are meditating, then I am a meditator. When I am talking with my son, I am not a meditator. I better get out of that mindset. So that will be grasping, grasping a thief, grasping a personality belief. I am this, and then you hold on to that all this time. Sometimes you must have seen people get so stiff. It's that in every interaction you remain a meditation teacher. Life becomes miserable. Or you become a meditator, you're talking to your son, you're talking to your wife, and you retain that image, oh, I'm a meditator, I should behave this way, I should talk that way, and this talk is not there. The life becomes absolutely, convoluted because you're all the time preserving an image. You're not spontaneous, you're not talking naturally, effectively.
Jan Samudra also talks about this.
Yeah, he mentions it so much. Then, after all, from Jati we know what's going to happen. We're all facing it. Jara, Marana. Of course, I am facing it. You, not many are facing it. At least two, three of us are facing it. The Jati to reach Jara. So this is again, condition is decisive support. It's bound to happen. There's no way it will not happen. And Jara, Marana, Paridev, when Jara is happening naturally, Maran is happening naturally. But if we have Paridev, Soka, Domanas, then we are creating more ignorance. And then the cycle keeps on going on and on and on. So that is what is depicted in the next diagram which I have drawn there. Paticca Samutpada, this is the standard model. Taken from this very good book of Venerable Payutto on Paticca Samutpada. I found it very good. So you can see how from ignorance this clockwise cycle moves. Then there are past causes, volitional impulses are the past causes, and the consciousness starting from Vijnana up to Vedana is the present result of that cause. Then from Vedana we have the present cause because we react to Vedana, create Tanha, and then from Tanha to Upadan to Bhav is the present cause. And from Bhav to Jati is the future result of that. In the standard model, it is seen as three-life model. So, past cause, present result, present cause, future result. So, this is the standard, so-called standard model given by Venerable Buddha Gosha in the Kushalbhimaka, which is generally accepted to be the majority of the people. That this is the way Paticca Samutpada. So, Buddha himself has talked of where this described as in a single mind moment. And when there is lamentation, sorrow, pain, grief, all that keeps on increasing this ignorance as is shown at the top. So as long as you keep on giving ignorance, the cycle will keep on moving in the clockwise direction and will keep on going in the round of birth and death again and again. So this is the way it operates. The next diagram gives it more from the point of view of the nature of mental factors. So we have defilements, which is ignorance, craving and clinging. Because though in the cycle ignorance is given beginning, avidya, pachya, sankhara. that avidya to sankhara is also includes clinging and craving also, because then only it happens. So because in order to avoid making too much complication, circle within circle, the Buddha put it like that, avidya pachya sankhara. So this is, to understand it more clearly, this is the diagram which he has drawn, that there are three kinds of defilements. Then there are kammas, that is original impulses, kamma bhava, and then there is the kamma result, from feeling to consciousness. They are the kamma result. So the original impulse is the bhava, which is the kamma, and birth to this consciousness, body, mind, nama, rupa, salayatan, phassa, vedana, they are all the vipaka. They are the result of that kamma which we keep on doing. So as long as we keep on doing kamma, we keep on going in the cycle of birth and death. Even if we do wholesome kamma, we keep on doing it. We can't get rid of it till such time as the doership is exhausted. The personality belief is gone and there is no doership. Till such time, we keep on rolling in this cycle. And a comprehensive diagram has been drawn here, which explains the whole thing put together in MBA. I think one can see it. We've already discussed all the aspects of it, so we can see it in its entirety. The outermost is the standard, all those 12 links, and inside is it's written down in terms of the consciousness, body and mind, sense space, contact, feeling. These are the kamma result. These are the defilements. Then there are again the kamma result and defilements. So one is the cause, one is the result. So this way, future, past and present, all the three life model has been explained in full detail, including all the three diagrams which you have drawn. You have assembled them for somebody who is interested in seeing simultaneously all the effects. What are the ignorance? What are the kamma? What are the kamma result? What is happening in the past? What is the present? What is happening in future? So this is the standard three life model. But there is a simultaneous powerful illustration of this, but it's just samutpada in present life. It happens from every mind, moment to moment. So especially the Thai school has propagated very much. Ajahn Buddhadasa, Ajahn Cha, another school, they say that it is happening. They don't condemn it. They say, but that's one model. But it is also, for Ajahn Buddhadasa is more strident. He outrightly rejects the three life model. But others say that it's okay. That also is one explanation. But this is happening in every moment. Don't wait for it to happen only at the time of death. So be aware of Pratitya Samutpada in present life. So in 131 slide, I have tried to put that whole of the dependent origination cycle, both in the arising of suffering and its cessation, is concerned with the present life. So you can illustrate it with help of examples, and I think we should do that. If we have understood the whole thing, we should be able to do it. So, Deepak, could you do it? I give an example. I see a colleague, wave to him but get no response. What would be the forward cycle and what would be the reverse cycle? Let us just reflect upon the whole 12 links and see what happens. I am going, I see a friend, I wave to him and he doesn't respond at all. Now see what will happen, what kind of thought process will go on in the mind when we are imbued with ignorance. How will avidya, pachya, sankhara and so on operate? So think about it and try to formulate that whole thing.
आज बात गई बात देख लिया नहीं किया तो ठीक है.
It depends on how we look at it, how we.
I think
इस समय तो हम कह रहे हैं, but actually क्या होगा वो देखना. What are the possibilities? Let us put that.
अगर साधना में जैसे किया हो तो कोई चलो आया गया ठीक है, ऐसा भी हो सकता है.
हाँ, that will.
ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि भाई चलो अगर
So then we are being indifferent. Then we are being indifferent.
वो भी एक cause बनेगा.
Then we are being indifferent.
नहीं तो what to do?
Indifferent is a lot different, you know. There could be one more thing thought, you know. I'm just telling. इसने क्यों नहीं किया ये? कुछ problem है. There is something wrong.
and I would
He is
think
suffering.
शायद मुझसे कुछ
There is
गलत
something
हुआ
wrong
होगा.
in his family, or something. He's upset on me, or he's upset on that. That would be one thing. Other could be पता नहीं क्या समझता है अपने आप को। और मैंने कुछ कल कहा था शायद उस कारण से नाराज है, या इट कुड बी कंपैशनेट रिस्पॉन्स, वो इसकी मदर बीमार है ना इसलिए परेशान है, इसलिए बेचारे ने देखा ही नहीं मुझे, and totally different chain will start.
But what is the right?
There's nothing like right.
But which it does not form any.
There's nothing like right. It depends on what we are just describing, what are the possibilities which are happening. Mind will respond in any way. If we are absolutely fully enlightened, then it's all right. It's possible. He's not. It doesn't produce an impact. You just see it. That's it.
अगर आपने उसको देखा और मान लो ठीक है जान लेते, ठीक है नहीं किया कोई बात नहीं, मतलब चले।
ऐसा
लेकिन
होता नहीं है ना।
नहीं अगर मान लो एक मिनट के लिए मान लो आपने जान लिया, चलो आपके आ गया क्या सजगता आ गया कि बस ठीक है मान, लेकिन आप उसको ये भी तो इग्नोर कर रहे हो कि अगर वो दुखी है या कुछ है तो फिर
मेरे मन में विचार आएगा ना तब ना, ये तो मेरा थॉट है ना, इट मे बी ऑल रॉन्ग, इट मे बी ऑल, इट्स माय परसेप्शन, इट मे बी राइट और रॉन्ग. So for an enlightened being, there is no perception. He just sees it as a phenomenon. That's it. That means. But if he is able to see his mind and read it out, then he will respond in a different manner. It's not a 1:1 relationship. You know, there is that story of Mahamoggallana. He was going and he saw a being burning and flying, some subtle body. To him it appeared that a being was there, was burning and flying. So he just saw it and he wondered what is going on. So he just understood what has happened and he kept quiet. He didn't do anything because he realized that what is happening is the karma of that being. I can't do anything. He just kept quiet. And his monks who were walking by, he just smiled gently and kept quiet. So the monks looked at him. बगैर किसी कारण की उस पर स्माइल उन्होंने देखा. The monks said and they didn't realize, and he didn't say anything to them. He didn't say anything to the monks. Then he went to the Buddha and told him this is what happened. I saw this burning and I felt that, see the karma की गति कितनी strong है. What is the effect of karma? My God, the person can be burning like that. So Buddha told him, you're right. I also saw him. But he says, I didn't want to tell it to anybody because they won't understand what's going on. And he said, that's why I didn't tell it to the monks also. They won't understand what I am talking of. So it depends on what you perceive, what you say, what you understand. He saw that अगर उनको कहेगा देखो ये हो रहा है, ऐसा हो रहा है, and then the other monks will say, कहाँ हो रहा है भाई, कुछ भी तो नहीं हो रहा है. What are you saying? So it will confound them, उनको confuse ही करेगा. So he said, keep quiet. So there is one response, and it's a fully enlightened person responding to a situation that a person is suffering, is burning with fire, but he realized कि उसके कर्मों का फल है, उसको
also because he can't do anything.
Yeah. नहीं normally सोचते हैं ना that you can why not do something.
अगर कोई जैसे मिल गया दुखी, जैसे मान लो वो पता चले कि वो दुखी और हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते, करते नहीं उसके लिए, वो भी तो
अगर हम करते नहीं है एक बात है, दूसरी हम कर नहीं सकते वो बात अलग है.
कर सकते की तो बात लंबी चौड़ दूर की है. अगर मान लो हमें पता है कि ये दुखी है, हमें जानना चाहिए था कि ये क्यों उदास है, हम नहीं जाने तो वो भी तो हम इग्नोर कर रहे हैं उस व्यक्ति को. डिपेंड करता है ना, इग्नोर कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे हैं. और अगर देख के भी इग्नोर कर सकते हैं, जो माइंड की फंक्शनिंग इज नॉट डिटर्मिनिस्टिक नहीं है ना कि ऐसा है तो ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता ना. एक ही पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन में एक्सटर्नल कंडीशन सेम हो, वी कैन रिस्पॉन्ड इन सो मेनी डिफरेंट वेज depending on the state of my mind at that moment. If my mind is already perturbed because of some reason, I'll respond differently. If my mind is equanimous, it will respond differently. If my mind is full of metta, I'll respond differently. If I'm already moved by compassion because of some other reason, then I'll be moved by even more. If I'm very joyous, I may even ignore. I'm smiling and happy because I've won a lottery, then I'll ignore even. That's the way. So what I wanted for us to do was trace the whole link so that we understand.
Yeah. So
let's start with avidya, isn't
yes.
it? So we have avidya, and we see that our friend has ignored us.
So possibly before that also, if I see my friend, there may be some volition that possibly he is my friend, and out of that volition I will wave at him. And while waving at him, there may be, because my eye contact has happened. I've seen that person, I've recognized this person. So there may be Vedna in terms of present feeling that I know him, possibly he is a dear friend of me. And based on that Vedna, the further action was of waving at him. And then again, at the next moment, uh, when the event changes and that person doesn't respond, so again there will be this Vedna.
We can't go directly there. We'll start from avidya. Avidya pachya sankhara. What will be the sankhara which will be created? When I see somebody who is my friend, I wave and he doesn't respond, what will be the sankhara created? It could be many. Isn't it? So just take one example. So a sankhara, suppose is created, he is upset with me. The thought arises that he is upset with me because of some, that's why he is not responding.
Yeah.
Or it could be his arrogance, he is not responding.
Yeah.
It could be any of them.
So suppose we
Take any one example.
We take that example that he is upset with me, and then based on the sankhara, the
Consciousness will arise. What consciousness will arise? The mind will be,
mind will think
the
more of
along with the consciousness, there will be some, the mental factors will arise of what kind?
yeah.
So the consciousness will arise that there could be a consciousness of aversion, isn't it?
Right.
Aversion will be there, that he's upset, he's sad, or the chain of action will begin. Our body will become, because of that thought, the body will become, there will be unpleasant changes may happen in the body depending on the intensity of consciousness. That will be the Vijnana Pachya Salayatan, changes in the body-mind complex. And then the Salayatan Pachya Phasa, then that changes in the body-mind complex will cause a contact at the body level, and Phasa Pachya Vedana, that will lead to a Vedana, and that is most likely going to be unpleasant, isn't it? And then the Vedana will lead to unpleasant thing. If you are again still ignorance keeps on, then we'll react to it, we'll get upset, we'll get more angry, then we'll suffer, we'll be born as an angry person, and then that angry person will get upset more, and then ignorance will increase, and the cycle will keep on going till some other thought comes and removes this thought, or we'll then build up another sankhara.
So that will
be upset because of
that will be aging and
yes, that will be the way it will keep on operating. So this is how you can see in every moment the praticca samutpada, every mind moment is operating. Because we have given it in a gross form, it is subtler than that. Actually, mere seeing of an object, when we see, if you just see purely, the Vedana is neutral. All Chakku Sampasya, Chakku Vijnana, Kaya Vijnana, Sota Vijnana, not Kaya Vijnana, Chakku Vijnana, Sota Vijnana, Ghana Vijnana, just pure Vijnana, they only are accompanied by neutral feelings. But when we actually see, we can't decipher that. We like immediately, we like or dislike whatever we are seeing.
The Vedana arises.
So the Vedana arises based on that perception. So the pure seeing is not there. That is the trouble. That's why in Bahaya Sutta he says, Dittha Mattam. If you can see purely, just seeing, no perception, then you're free. Vedana will not arise of that kind. That's why I thought I just mentioned, because the Abhidhamma says, actually this is happening, but we have already reacted at one level. And then we are saying, oh, it's pleasant, unpleasant, this is looking beautiful, not beautiful, this music is good, this is noise. We already gone through one cycle of paticca samutpada and gone through. But even in the gross level, we can see how it is operating. And you can see it operate at it. Suppose instead of that, ignorant, because we are ignorant in more than one way there, we don't know what is happening. We are not having any idea of why is this person not responding in the way I expect him to be, isn't it? So that then we'll guess. This was one guess, he is upset with me. There could be another guess that that he is suffering because of certain reason, and then you get more compassion.
So that guess will be more from sankhara.
It is more purely of our own sankharas. Whatever opinions we have formed about him, or we know about his immediate
Sankharas
past.
become your conditioning.
Yeah. And then they become our conditioning all the time. Now, if I know that person is suffering, then I can probably feel, I think he is very upset. And then maybe I go back to him and ask him, kya hua tabhi? Theek ho na? So response itself will be changed. Because my perception is that the person is not waving to me, not because he is upset with me, because he is upset on some account. Probably he is suffering. I know that his mother is ill or his wife is ill, and so he is not responding. Probably something has gone wrong. I go and tell him, oh, is everything okay? You didn't see me, and then he may say, then the conversation will take place in whatever direction. It can take place in so many directions. So we can recognize that at every moment all these things are happening. So the recognition of paticca samutpada at every moment is also a very great help in seeing through our mental function.
There is this question from Sudhakar. He's saying, is it true that I see, I perceive, what I see, I perceive it as good chakku? So I see, then I perceive it as good. Then the question is that chakku vedana remains neutral, whereas kaya vedana turns pleasant. Is it possible?
That can happen, because kaya vedana is influenced by reaction at every sense door. So when I am seeing something very pleasant, chakku vedana may be pleasant, kaya vedana may be unpleasant, because I have pain in my foot. So you cannot therefore infer that, because it's easily experienceable in our meditation also. Mentally you are very upset, but bodily free flow is happening, pleasant sensations are happening. Or the reverse can also be true. The bodily you are very perspiring because it's very hot and unpleasant sensations are happening, but mind is very happy, peaceful. You can see you are walking in and going for a morning walk, and you see some beautiful flowers and you feel happy. So the feeling is there. But on the foot, you have pain in the foot and you are limping and walking. So they are different. What happens is that the reaction to these sense doors influences our body. And therefore, the bodily sensations are governed by so many other factors. It can be governed by weather, by environment, by food we eat, by the state of the mind, all these things. And the state of the mind is governed by our reaction to Vedana at various sense doors. So it's too complex a thing. So we can't have one-to-one correspondence. It's not possible. That's why one has to be very careful. That remember we had studied that you may have sukhad Vedana in the defiled mind also. Normally we think that when we are meditating we get unpleasant feelings, sensation in the body, and then after a few days we get pleasant sensation, we feel mind is purified. It may not. It may be because strong lobha as a result, greed as a result, and that greed causes pleasant sensations to happen. So we have to be very careful on seeing the relationship on one-to-one basis, because they are always complex. There's a too strong impact of so many things on the body.
Even so, on normal day-to-day level, suppose one is enjoying a very good meal, and then pleasant sensations may be arising in the body based on when it is eating, but it's still lobha, which is operating at the background. That craving of food is kind of generating.
But at the time when you are eating something and you like it, you have craving for that. But at the same time, you know that.
Yeah, if you know it, then the chances of it becoming strong sankhara is very low. The moment we know it, the things gets a big halt. Because the moment we know it, we dissociate from it. Why? It's not a mystery. The moment I know something, I am not that. I am dissociated from it to that extent. To the extent I know it clearly. So then it will not have a strong impact.
Actually, what Ajahn Sumitra mentions his experience of living with Ajahn is that Ajahn used to mix all the food which they've got on pin path, and it used to taste so bad. So that was their way of seeing the repulsion towards the food. And then he mentions that after some time it was fine with me.
Actually, it is. I have a liking for it. So my wife gets upset.
यही कहते हैं मीठा और नमक दोनों मिला लेंगे और खाएंगे।
मुझे अच्छा लगता है मुझे I don't know why, but I feel very good when having food of that kind. I mix up everything and like it very much. But my sister and my daughter-in-law said, कैसे खा रहे हो पापा क्या केला भी मिला दिया नमक भी मिला दिया सब्जी भी मिला दी It's all right. It depends on perception and the way you have been sankharas are operating.
अच्छा जब जैसे आपने बताया क्रेविंग होती है जो प्लेजेंट सेंसेशन होती है बॉडी में मान लो पेन भी है पर लेकिन इक्वानिमिटी अगर आप इक्वानिमस हैं तो संस्कार बनेगा नहीं ना
If one is able to observe any sensation, pleasant or unpleasant, with equanimity and be aware of it. If you are aware of it with equanimity,
aware in the sense कि happening
that it is impermanent. It's not me. It's not mine. The basic formula of one-line formula.
But why to say it is impermanent?
Not say it.
And why to have this feeling also?
Know it. Saying doesn't matter.
That means we are waiting.
It is knowing. You don't have to know that he is Arpan. You know it. Finished. You don't have to remember every time. You know it. You don't have to know that you are Sushila. You know it. You don't have to say I am Sushila. You're not gone crazy. So knowing is the importance. When we know it for sure. Finished. Isn't it? So when you know it for sure, then you don't have to say it with an impermanent, nicha. You don't have to say that. You know it, sure. Absolutely, certainly. There's no doubt. So the next one I wrote in response to the state of my mind. I mean, I've been analyzing, not getting an email reply of Ajahn Ashoko. It was very funny to see the kind of sankharas which are getting created, why he's not responding. And one of them I sent him a message yesterday also.
So क्या है वो दरअसल that's arising from
various kinds of ignorance. Firstly, fundamental ignorance, I don't know the cause. And just guessing it. And depending on my sankharas, I guess in a way, maybe he is upset, or maybe he is ill because Ajahn Sumitra was not in good health. Then the whole chain of thought starts in that direction. And it finally halts at, I think whether we should buy the tickets to go to England or not. Should we wait for...
तो वहाँ कैसे आ गया वो?
वहाँ तक पहुँच गई ना बात. See how the chain of thought keeps on going. From the fundamental ignorance about the reason, sankhara arose, this may be happening, and that whole chain took up to one round. Then another round of sankhara started, and another round of... So the rounds of sankhara went on happening till it stopped at the point that we have to spend so much money to go to there, and we're buying ticket, and we have to go to US, and then our whole ticket will be cancelled. So I better wait and find out what's going on. See?
But
That it stopped.
Okay. You have to take now.
It's all right. I'm just explaining how things go on and on and on and on and on.
ये प्रपंच.
It's not a question of the right है कि wrong है. ऐसा नहीं है. This is what is happening. You're seeing it. Once you're seeing it, it will never overwhelm you. It will never overwhelm. Then you can decide what is the right thing to be done. So I decided what should be the right thing to be done. I said, इसको परेशान करो. asking to send an email to Kumchukke. Kumchukke, you know, वो बता देगा, पता कर देगा. That's it. That's the best I can do. What more can you do? So the whole thing stopped. Once it was clear, once I saw that it is just a cycle which is going on, okay, let us see where it stops. It stopped there. So, matter ended. There's nothing. Okay, do whatever you can. If you can do something, be done with it. So if you are able to observe the arising of Samutpada, that itself is a very powerful thing. You don't have to do anything about it. There's nothing to be done actually. It has to be known, it has to be seen. If you see it operating, if you see the arising of ignorance and arising of the consequences of it, you are free from it. Just by seeing you are free. There's nothing. It won't overwhelm you. It will become the humorous thing. How the mind is functioning. It's going. It took one round, then it took another round, then it took another round of one ignorance to another ignorance. It could be physical ignorance of not knowing and getting conditioned by my conditioning. Oh, this could be possible reason, that could be possible reason. This. So you can see this operating, and you can see it operating in our day-to-day life also.
So is it fair to say that?
And I think, let me just tell you who was. I had listened to one discourse of, I think it is Ajahn Amaro probably, or I don't know who. I think when they were working on the setting up of the monastery there. So he was in communication with his senior colleague, I think in US. They were communicating overall. And for months together they were communicating and obviously responding to each other quickly. So once when the work was finished, he wrote a mail and he said he used to send a mail with a background of a good background. So he used to send a mail with a sky background and something. So he wrote a mail saying whatever had to be done is done. And he sent it to his friend there, his fellow monk in US. And he didn't get a response. And he waited 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days, 15 days. What happened? Why did he not responding to me? And then he sent him another mail. 15 days have passed, I sent you a mail and you didn't respond. So the other monk then responds. So you know what happened? You sent me a mail in which just this was written, and whatever else was written below it, it got all wiped out. So I thought, what is he writing? Is he declaring that he has become an arhat? That whatever had to be done has been done? And he said, how low a person can become? Declaring arhatship on email? And he says, I was getting so angry with you and so upset that what has happened to him? What is he trying to show? And then when you sent me second email, and then I saw that the remaining part of the email somehow got detached. So you can see how the sankharas arises just because of the miscommunication and how we can understand. He is telling that whatever work we are doing, that is the setting up of the monastery, is finished, and the other person interprets it as that whatever had to be done means I am free, completely free. So that's how the confusions can arise. Perceptual differences and ignorances can keep on creating such a huge misunderstanding.
A question I had was that whenever one has a thought, can it mean that sankhara has arisen and this chain has started?
If it is automatic thought, yes.
Exactly.
If it is if you're sitting and saying, okay, let me think what is the error in this code, then you are consciously thinking. Of course, then you are using your brain properly. There's no issue. But when I am walking on the road and some thought has arisen, and I recall after 5 minutes, kya soch raha tha maine. When the thought arises, we don't know, and when the thought takes a shape and it ultimately culminates into some catastrophe or some great, then you suddenly realize, kya soch raha hu? What is going on? Then all the duration, sankhara bhajya vijnana was going on. Vijja bhajya sankhara was going on and on and on and on. And must, go for endless cycles it can go on, because mind is so sharp, it can keep on going through so many, and we know it, Prapanch, that's how Prapanch happens. Whatever we see, we interpret, And the moment you interpret, if you are not aware, that all things associated with that will come. In Madhupindika Sutta we had read it. And that's how the Papancha Sanya Sankhya operates, all kind of a pancha operates. And then we realize, oh, mind has gone into a spin. I have just seen somebody and mind has gone into a spin, all kinds of things. It has gone from here to almost even to USA and the other world while walking on going on the morning walk. Because that's the way mind gets. So it's all operation of Paticca Samutpada. It's all operation of that. Every moment it is happening. So if you become more and more interested in that kind of analysis, then the impact of these things on us gets drastically cut down.
And so if the thought is not arising, but still one operates with conditioning, which means that sankharas are arising and consciousness is arising and
whenever we are in our day-to-day life operating, the reactions which happen to our interactions with others, if we are extremely mindful, we know it. It is because of absence of mindfulness that we are not aware of it, and we keep on reacting to the reaction internally होता रहता है. We don't realize it. मान लीजिए एक मीटिंग में बैठे हैं हम लोग, बातचीत हो रही है, somebody says something and I immediately react to it because I'm not aware what these words which I have heard, what action they have produced in me. I'm not aware of it because of the lack of mindfulness. So this observation of Paticca Samutpada is a way of cultivating mindfulness. If one becomes interested, then you have to be mindful, otherwise you can't figure out kya ho raha hai. Then you will be forced to be attentive. Okay, this thought has arisen, what's going on. You may not find it one time, but you can repeat that whole thing. For example, for that email, I just did that. Okay, there's one cause, let me see what's going on. This, okay, another possibility, this. So you just figure out, oh yeah, this is. I'm becoming a sad person. I'm becoming a anxious person. See that happening.
Yes,
So the Paticca Samutpada, but I rightly said it very deep. And there's that statement, Yo Paticca Samutpadam Pashyati, so Dhammam Pashyati. One who sees Paticca Samutpada sees the Dhamma. One who sees the Dhamma sees me. That is the extent of veneration. Because, and the interesting thing is that in different discourses, Paticca Samutpada is explained differently. So I'll try to put that also in the next.
Basically, some links are present.
Some links are missing. In the biggest discourse on Paticca Samutpada, Avidya and Sankhara is not there. There he calls the story of Buddha Vipassi, some past Buddha, how he came to the same conclusion, starting from what conditions death, birth, what conditions birth, went on and on and on and on, right up to Namarupa. What conditions Namarupa? Vijnana. And what condition Vijnana? Is Namarupa. Because there is a Anyamanya Pacho there. So you didn't go to Avidya. Because Avidya he took it as given. So there is this. Then there we have I think we have studied that, you remember, did we? Transcendental Upanishad Sutta padha tha na? That's another very beautiful way of seeing the arising of suffering and finding a way out from other way, not by the reverse way, some other way. They're very interesting things.
This is essentially how dukkha can
lead to faith, and faith can lead to complete. Eventually, so many chains are there, and it leads to cessation of suffering. And there are discourses in which, as I've written in 132, I've not mentioned it fully, Paticca Samutpada in society. How this social strife happens, how the king should operate in a manner properly. And there's that very famous sutta where this discussion on society is given. I think it's a part of Mahanidana Sutta only. So I'll properly present it and the next time.
So ये भी आगे वाली साइड तो खाली है सर.
हाँ ये खाली है.
इसलिए खाली रखी हुई मैंने. Just wrote down that I must do this because sometimes forget it.
अच्छा जैसे साधना करते हैं
So we'll discuss next time this Paticca Samutpada Society and various other variants of Paticca Samutpada, some of them which are very prominent.
That's
So that we can see the fact that we should not get again, as we studied, this is the only thing true. We studied that in Sutta. This is the right one. There are 12 links, not less. There are 10 also. And the Buddha is only saying it. So don't get fixated on that. There are so many ways of seeing the same things.
Links with much less items in between are much easier to use in day-to-day life, and then once we have grasped, then you can.
So the Paticca Samutpada Society is on gross links. It doesn't talk about Vedana and all that. It's on gross things which we can see happening. How the dependent origination of strife in the society is happening. So it's a very beautifully put way which can be understood even otherwise logically. But you can see it in a dependent origination manner. He's explaining the whole existence of society and problems in society in that manner, which can have bearing in our today, modern times, the strife which we see in modern times. There's that on crime, there is one, and it gives you insight into how to handle crime. Such things are also there, if we can reflect upon it deeply. There's that Chakravarti Singhanama Sutta of there are 4 or 5 prominent discourses given to the lay people. So one of them has that what are the duties of a Chakravarti Raja, kya duty hai, in that sense I should say. So they're very, very interesting. So I think it would be good to go through all of them. So I just to collect them and read those.
कहवा चलेगा या
Now read the first questions. So any questions?
No questions, sir. You had asked about whether Sudhakar's friend Sandeep ji has done meditation before, and he had replied that he has done this 10-day course and few long courses, and he also mentioned TSCS.
TSC is the teacher self. So he is a senior student meditator. When he has done long courses, then obviously he is a senior meditator. So welcome, all senior meditators are welcome because they can contribute to our discussions.
So Sudhakar has mentioned that will there be presentation on mindful eating, and he further clarifies that when I go to a course, the eating becomes just right, balanced, and once I come back, it is totally unbalanced.
Yeah, it can be so. Because in a course we are,
A controlled
environment, time is fixed, the possibility of eating is fixed.
And you don't have a choice.
And there's a limit to what you can eat, and especially when you are not doing any physical activity, the hunger also comes down, the need of the food also comes down. But in day-to-day life, if you are hyperactive and need for food becomes more. If the mind is upset, then we try to take food to reduce the upsetness. That also happens.
And then whenever we meet with anybody, the first thing happens
The
is
habit is of that kind. We have that cultural issue also.
So Sudhakar, actually, I had attended that 1-day course
We can
in
send you that
IIT.
link to.
I have that audio recording. I can forward that audio recordings to Sudhakar. They're on YouTube. And there was also one video we talked last time.
Video is there of Harvard's mindful eating.
Yeah, Harvard mindful eating.
Please forward that to me as well.
इसका link भेज देंगे. आप भेज दीजिएगा हमको.
हार्वर्ड माइंडफुल रीडिंग का हमने लास्ट टाइम गूगल पर ढूंढा था, तो
मिला?
उसमें भी मिल गया था. लेट मी जस्ट ट्राई इट अगेन. And sir, he's in a laughing mode. He's saying that, is there a palita to protect from overeating?
वो है ना.
Interestingly, there's a discourse actually.
हाँ.
There's a discourse given by Buddha to
Oh.
King Prasanjit on reducing overeating.
अरे पर हम decide भी करते हैं ना in all these forest monasteries before the meal that recitation is there.
Forest monasteries में जो monks हैं, they have that recitation, but that is meant for monks only.
नहीं, every well, the lay visitors recited it, but it's simply meant to encourage mindfulness of eating.
So वो भेज दो आप उनको.
मैंने कहा
मुझे भी भेज देना.
वो जो खाना खाने से पहले monks recite करते हैं.
it should be compulsory recitation.
तो ये तो अच्छा है ना सर कि सभी को करना चाहिए.
You should recite with knowing the meaning. That's very important. Otherwise वो भी एक ritual बन जाएगा.
या वो भी एक अच्छा.
So that's the interesting thing they do. वो हर चीज़ का अंग्रेजी लगा देते हैं साथ में. So they insist कि आप पाली भी करो और अंग्रेजी भी करो.
बच्चों के साथ इसको कैसे कर सकते हैं? मतलब अभी तक तो हम सिर्फ सेंस बेस्ड पे करते हैं. जैसे हम बच्चों के साथ उनको कॉन्शियस करने की कोशिश करते हैं कि जो हम खा रहे हैं उसका हम टेस्ट जान सकें, उसकी से आवाज़ आ रही है क्या, मुंह में कैसा लग रहा है. तो हम अभी इतना ही करते हैं बच्चों के साथ. और टेक्सचर है उसको छू के देख सकते हैं. That's good enough.
Children can be ask them to chew it slowly and
हाँ,
then
chew it
they'll
slowly.
naturally feel satiated.
Exactly.
तो अपने आप कम खाएंगे.
हाँ. Right.
If they eat slowly and chew it, then they naturally be satiated much more rapidly.
तो छोटे बच्चों के साथ तो mindful eating is this much that you do it on a sense base. But as they're growing older, let's say
That's
8,
enough, I
9,
think.
that's
That's enough for the. I do it for my IT students also.
हाँ.
Of course, we discuss the things about honoring the food.
Yes,
that
exactly.
I discuss. With grown-up children, you can discuss that. What does it mean to honor the food?
Yeah. And when should we bring in this
Gratitude.
gratitude, exactly. Gratitude to others who have prepared your food, who have
When
brought the
these
food.
children, I think, have started studying about agriculture in school, plant life वगैरह के बारे में जब पढ़ना शुरू कर देते हैं, I think 5वीं 6वीं तक तो हो ही जाता है.
हाँ.
Then that will be the because then they know किसान क्या होता है, किसान ये करता है, वो करता है.
Right.
Then they are in a position to understand that.
Right.
Actually, monastic environment में तो overeating का इसलिए भी है because food is the only sort of available means of sensuality in a certain sense. So that's also why they do that.
So, any more questions for today before we close the session?
And next Sunday I will not be available. I have to go on Saturday to family function in Jammu.
Okay.
And there, Jammu, the internet is impossible to get.
I think अब तो मोबाइल में अच्छा हो गया है, but I think without laptop maybe today.
So today is which day? Second.
Today
Today's
so
second,
no
I think.
session on 9th. as well.
So we'll do it on 16.
Okay, thank you everybody. So I'll close the session for the day. Thanks for attending.
And what's that?
You have same first name.
Same first name, exactly. Right.
She is Arpan's mother.
Hmm.
It was because of her kindness that Mrs. Dar could go to attend the course.
Oh, okay, because Arpan could support.
Arpan
Yeah.
was staying
There's
with
no
us.
kindness.
Yes, you had to face difficulties because of his absence. I know. He was calling you on phone. Do this, do that. So kind of you really.
He's almost always floating.
Yeah, I know. I've known about last few months. Always traveling here, there, there. He's again going next week to Jaipur, I think,
Yeah,
for a week.
he's going on Monday or Tuesday. But that is also very uncertain. Yesterday it was Monday, day before yesterday Monday, tomorrow yesterday it was Tuesday. So it keeps
Changing.
and I don't ring him.